Alright, what's up, guys? So, I'm live right now, and I had a thought that I really want to talk about. Um, it's something I've been thinking about kind of a lot recently. Um, and it's something that's a little weird because I do enjoy the game, but I actually kind of stand by this. Um, I think Dead by Daylight as a game should have died a long time ago. Um, Like if we look at the store here, obviously the game is doing fine. Like, we've got the Knight and Vittorio. They just came out, and the Knight's kind of cool, but they end up playing them kind of bad. Um, but I want to talk about like the game itself. I don't think this game should have survived. Um, I think Dead by Daylight is only alive because it was like the kind of like the original. Like there's probably very like other asymmetrical horror games before Dead by Daylight, but Dead by Daylight like took the idea and then blew it up. Because like think about the concept of Dead by Daylight itself is very simple, right? So you do the generators, you do the 5 gens, and then you get the exit gate and you escape. That's really simple for people to understand. And then like as killer, it's just get hooks. Right? Very simple, very straightforward, and it's just something that everybody can understand very quickly. Now, there are aspects of the game that get really deep, like understanding looping, understanding how to use palettes and windows properly. Like, there's other aspects on each role that get very in depth, but the outside of the game is very simple to understand, and is like really easy for players to pick up and like master the idea of, right? Which is probably why it blew up the way it did. But I think the game itself is very lackluster in a lot of areas, and I think a lot of people would agree. And I want to get into that because there's particular reasons I don't think this game could even theoretically stay the way it is and be alive at all. Like if it released now, it would not stay alive, at least in my opinion. And so I'm just gonna get straight into it. The first one is this game has got really lackluster updates, at least in my opinion. So it took several years for them to even do the perk overhaul. It's like making things like Dead Hard, wherever it is, completely useless. Well, not completely useless. I would argue it's still really good actually, but it's completely useless if you don't know what you're doing. But if you know what you're doing, it ends up being better than before, I would argue. Because if you use it, you can put killers in a scenario where they either get hit by the pallet or you use Dead Hard and you just go to another pallet or window and extend the time. So it is better, but I would argue that if you're at lower skill, this is even more useless. Like before, you maybe didn't know how to use it, but now it's like legitimately, if you don't know what you're doing, it's pointless to you. But then they take perks like off the record, and turn it into a fucking like giga perk, that has the effects of like 3 other perks, which is I don't know how you do that, because I understand it's supposed to be like an anti-tunnel perk, but like if they're gonna tunnel you, they're gonna do it through this perk anyways. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's got like 8 effects, which is like fine, because I think this perk before was absolute ass. I don't even remember what it did, but now I'd argue that it's like way too good. So, and I like the killer side of things, like perk changes for survivors I feel like are minimal. Like like people used to run Dead Hard all the time. You run Dead Hard, you could run Adrenaline, you could run like a lot of the survivor perks builds. I feel like have been the same for so long that it is actually insane. That's why I like to do like stupid builds of like fucking Head On and Deception and shit, because like a lot of the survivor perk builds have been the same builds for a while. Now don't get me wrong, there's some great changes they've made, like making Windows of Opportunity not have a cooldown. Like, why did this have a cooldown in the first place? It's a little weird. I feel like I feel like understanding the map is not a bad thing, by any means. And then like then you have perks that like literally I feel like are gonna be useless forever. Like this is not happening. Like why is this is not happening still a perk? Like what is this? Like 30% bigger skill checks? Dude, even as a new player, what? As a new player, I just tell people not to even run this perk. It doesn't help you. It's not going to help you. Like, yeah, you get the skill check. The great spot on the skill check is slightly bigger. Congratulations. This isn't going to help you. This is not going to do anything. Just use another perk. This is pointless. Spine Shield got gutted. I mean, but like, do I think that it kind of needed? I think that Spine Shield was a little unfair on against certain killers like Ghostface and Myers, but I don't know that it needed to be the way it is. I think Iron Will was my favorite perk. I think Iron Will is now by far way worse than it needs to be because they nerfed it in double ways, which is really weird. Because now it's not even 100%. I don't know why it couldn't just be 100%, but if you're exhausted, it doesn't apply. It's besides like the weird balancing, but like the point I'm trying to make is like the balancing in this game is weird and it seems like out of place. Like they have an understanding a little bit of what's going on because like they made the Blood Web cheaper and in prestiging more accessible to players and like more like you actually want to take part in the prestige system, which is great because originally, when you would get to 50, you could just keep going, and now you get to 100, and then eventually I think it just keeps going at that point. But like, okay, that's fine, but like, and they made it cheaper, and so it's easier to get prestiges and get up there and get all your perks, which I'm all there for. But like, I don't know, it's just weird to me that I don't know. I just think the point of the perks at this point is like so weird because they have decent understanding of like what players want, but then like they don't make other changes because they don't want to, I guess. Like I don't really know. Like it's weird, right? Because the community has wanted prestiging to have the community when it like when the prestige system got reworked, the community was wanting it. The community desired that the prestige system was kind of bad, and then like it probably should be changed because it didn't really mean anything, and like there was no true point to prestiging. But then they leave certain perks like they listen there, but then they leave certain perks like this is not happening in the game, and don't change it. And it's really, to me, it's just really out of place and a little weird. But moving on from the perk side of things, I think that also like this game has a really big like problem, and it's a big financial problem. So we're gonna go ahead and open up Steam. So if you go to the store page for this game, and you look. So, Dead by Daylight itself is $20. So, you want to get into the game? It's $20, right? That's fine. Like, it's one of those games where it's like, alright, fine. And it's like, if you buy just the $20 version, and you're going to get every DLC excluding these, like, head cases, the sack, the suitcase, the charity case, like this stuff, like look at this. It ain't cheap. And I know that you could just buy like these packages that include like a lots of the survivors and shit, and survivors and killers, but like that's such a big buy-in. Like even the one that is supposed to like get you really close Doesn't even, it gets you only to the trickster. You remember when all kill was? All kill was, let's see. Here's all kill. Ever since then, we've had the knight, we've had Wesker, we've had the dredge, we've had Sadako, we've had the artist. Do you realize like how far back that is? And that's just for players to get into the game. That is not even an order, because if this was an order, you're even more fucked. Because then it's like you still have to pay even more money to get in. So the buy-in price of Dead by Daylight is not $20 or $54 or $70. The buy-in price for Dead by Daylight is like nearing $100 if you want to have everything and be able to partake in all of the content. Right? Now, that's not even that's just to like get the game. Then you have to spend the time. If you're going to do it legitimately, good fucking luck getting all the iridescent shards to buy the survivors and buy all the killers. Now they do go on sale, but I don't even understand like the frequency of the sales in Dead by Daylight. Like there's like sometimes survivors are on sale and other times like killers are on sale, and sometimes they're like both on sale, and it's really unclear, at least in my opinion, of like when they're going to be on sale. I think there might be like a way to know, but still like it's just a little weird. And like obviously it's like, well, the other argument could be just like, well then just use, you know, just go and into the shrine and get the perks there. But like that argument doesn't work. I don't know that Deadlock has been in the shrine once. So you gonna tell me just to wait till Deadlock shows up in the shrine if I want to get in on a killer? I don't think that's fair. I think this game has a severe problem with the buy-in. This game is quite literally pay to win. This game has been pay to win, and this game will always be pay to win. Because you're blocked out of the perks unless you have the DLC. And it's like I think so they show up. I think they're more likely to show up in the Shrine of Secrets if the rift is there. So like if you need a potential energy or something for a challenge in the rift, it'll show up, or in the compendium. But I still think that like it's ridiculous that we're literally playing a AAA game that has been around since like 2016 and it is still pay to win. Like that is wild to me. And it's accepted. It is accepted by the community that the game is pay to win. It's like, oh yeah, you played Dead by Daylight? Yeah, I got all the survivors. It's like, oh yeah, you spent like well over $100. Oh, I've got like a bunch of the cosmetics. I've got or some people, I have every cosmetic for every person. You know how much money that is? That is a fuck ton of money. Some of those you can't even get anymore because now they're starting to do time-gated cosmetics. Think about that. We've reached a point in Dead by Daylight where they are doing time-gated cosmetics. This game is literally cosmetic simulator. And it's not even even. The cosmetics for this game are very uneven. At most time, look, even though it shows like these numbers, there's probably more cosmetics for the female characters than any of the males. And they're more varied, which is even more crazy. Killers, I think it might be slightly different. I think it's based on like what's being played, so always, you know, different. And if they're licensed or not, that's always like uneven. But I would argue that it's uneven and it's a cosmetic simulators. Now, I want to get to what really like put this thought into my mind. So recently, with Dead by Daylight, the nurse received a change after several years of this character being out and being the best character in the game. This character finally got the nerf that she should have gotten several years ago. And I mean literally several years ago. The nurse has been by far and probably will always be the best killer in the game because of what she does and how she functions as a character. Now, I'm not saying like I think that the nurse's power shouldn't be a thing. I think that the nurse is fine. I think there should be a character that breaks the mold of Dead by Daylight and makes you play differently. And I think that is a good thing. I think that characters that break the mold and the traditional playstyle of the game are better for the game. But in my opinion, the nurse is by far and in large so much better, and was significantly better, and was making use of things that she shouldn't have been making use of. So, what you used to be able to do on Nurse before the nerf was that you could run Starstruck, and like things that increase your terror radius, or any of the perks in the game that let you get a one-shot. So like Noed, Starstruck. You didn't really even need a slowdown, to be honest. You could you could just win chases in the games because you're the nurse, and the survivors they don't use pallets on you, because it generally ends up being negative in their favor, and they're mostly not going to use windows, but they can, and they don't even really want to, like, even if they have a locker build, like it doesn't work all the time, because it's not like it matters, because you have to slow yourself down. It's weird, but even then, the nurse breaks the mold of the game, and she was benefiting from one-shot perks. Now, this would not be such a topic of debate if we didn't have a character, or several characters per se, that could not benefit from this. And one in particular could not benefit from it, even though he is arguably the second best killer in the game. That's the Blight. Now, Blight doesn't necessarily break traditional values of the game. He's kind of like a mixture. He's kind of like Billy, or like Billy but he can't one-shot you, and he can bounce off walls. So his trade-off is that instead of like when you're running into a wall stopping, he hits the wall and he bounces off of it and he goes again. And depending on your add-ons, you can go faster, or you can do it more times, which is fine. I think that he's cool. He's very fun to play against. I think that good Blights are scary. I think that Blights that aren't very good can still be scary, but I think that Blight as a character is still good, and he doesn't have such a high skill ceiling that becomes boring in any way for anyone. But here's why I bring up Blight in this scenario. Blight cannot use those one-shot perks while also using his power. So we have a differential here of the nurse benefiting from one-shot perks with her power, which is the strongest power in the game. The Blight, the second strongest powerful character in the game, not benefiting from them, with a weaker power. How the fuck does that happen? Now, the Blight hasn't been out for as long as the nurse, and he's still good, right? How is the nurse? The nurse was probably released in like 2017, I think. 2018 maybe? I don't know. The nurse has been out for a while. And she just recently got that nerf that changed it so she can't benefit anymore. How? The last experience I had with something like this in a game was Rainbow Six Siege, and that was Ela being overpowered for 6 months. And then the developers felt bad and gave back to the community. The nurse has been overpowered and strong and benefited from way crazy perks for years. It is insane. Now, you may be saying, well, that's like fine. It's just like one example. Another example that I could use is like one of my favorite characters to play as is Trapper. This character has become significantly worse as the game has gotten more, or as the game has progressed. This character has significantly gotten worse. As the game is getting, like, you know, updated and changed, Trapper is actively becoming a worse killer to play as, and he's the first killer they introduce you to. Trapper now is so bad. There are so many maps where there is nothing for you to play around, to benefit towards, or anything. The only benefit now that you have as Trapper is to play Basement Trapper, which survivors hate, but it's the most understandable and reliable strategy on the killer. So, to go into more depth of what I'm talking about here, Trapper relies on his traps, obviously, which don't even get me into going into about going around collecting traps across the map, traps that you're never going to get because they're in the corner, traps that are never going to go off because like you put them in niche spots. That may be your fault, that might be just because the survivors are smart. The Trapper is also like losing his ability to use his power because maps are changing. Maps now have less grass and are more open. So now you can no longer set your trap in one spot and set another trap over there, and survivors may run into them. Now what happens is there's less grass on the ground. Survivors know where to look. Survivors know where in the loop you're probably going to place it. Survivors have got things figured out. And as the maps get updated and progressed, the grass is going away. Or the maps are getting brighter. If you get Coldwind as Trapper, you have to really hope they don't see your traps. If you get Eyrie of Crows, you literally lose the game. Eyrie of Crows is a giant sand map. Trapper's traps are metal, or if you have the tar on them, they're like literally black. Where are you gonna hide them? It doesn't work. It's fucked up. You know, and there's a meme of Nerf Pig because Pig either wins the game or she gets like nothing, it feels like. Or Myers, who if you're not running really overpowered add-ons, ends up being a boring killer. Like, why would you want to play Myers in a scenario where you're not running Tombstone? But in the scenarios where you're running Tombstone, the game is even worse for both sides. You don't even benefit. The balancing for this game is fucking terrible. Right? And it's like they nerfed Spirit, so they made her easier to play against. And I would argue Spirit now is way easier than she was before to play against. But is still insane in comparison. And she always will be because of what her power is. And I'll go even more into detail what I think is slightly unfair. Certain killers have a passive that other killers don't even get to take benefit of. I.e. Spirit and Onryo have the passive of literally phasing in and out of existence. So not only is Spirit a god tier killer, Spirit literally, while walking, phases in and out of existence. So sometimes she'll be looking one way and phase a little bit, and you won't be able to see her for like a second, or like it'll like wispy, and then she'll flip around, and then now your loop is fucked up because she flipped around and the passive phasing got you. The same thing with the Onryo. It's an advantage that they can take advantage of and nobody else can. Like I understand like height advantages. Like certain killers are better in certain loops because of their height. That's why I like playing characters like Pig and Ghostface in certain loops ends up kind of being your advantage because you can crouch. But like, you know, that's just a height thing. Theirs is like literally a straight up passive. And you can make the argument for the same thing with survivors, where certain survivors are louder or quieter. Ace has like built-in Iron Will. And this has been known about for years. It's just really weird inconsistencies, minor inconsistencies that of like, I'm like, I don't know how this still is a thing. Or characters being like the way they are. Like, I don't know how the Twins is still the way the Twins is. Nobody likes playing against the Twins. I don't think people even like playing as the Twins. I don't understand. I don't get it. And the worst part is this game gets updated on a 3-month schedule. It is a live service game in 2023, and we're playing on an update, a game that gets updates 3 months. It's a live service game. Update every 3 months. And not even a big update every 3 months. It's like, yeah, we changed like 4 perks. But here's no killer and survivor. And for more perks that you're probably not going to use. Like, what? What? Every 6 months you may get like a crazy big balance update. 6 months. 6 months. Dude, I have 1,000 hours on this game. I love playing this game. This game is only alive because it is the only game that it was the original. It is the one that everybody's been playing, and is the one that people are probably going to keep playing. You know, honestly, I never played them. I never played Home Sweet Home or Video Horror Society. But I would not be surprised if they were actually just better. But people aren't gonna give them a chance because why would they go play and buy those games when they could just play Dead by Daylight? They've been playing Dead by Daylight for years. Why would they stop now? And like, I don't know. I just think this game is like, as much as I like this game, I think this game is a fucking joke. It's fun. It's fun with friends. There's updates that I feel like have been like needed a long time ago, like the one with Survivor UI to see what other people are doing. You know? And this game, not to even mention, like I said, I've said this on stream, this game hemorrhages players. I'm pretty sure this game loses players pretty normally. In fact, I'm going to open the Steam charts. I'm going to open the Steam charts. Dead by Daylight loses players pretty normally. So, a lot of these massive games you'll see, this is probably when Resident Evil came out, I think. This is when that Resident Evil chapter came out. Look at this. Now, you're probably saying, like, well, I mean, like, they're still doing great, right? Like, this isn't a low number. And I'm not saying that Dead by Daylight is, like, doing terrible. It's that this game gains and loses players based on the licensing and shit. And they realize that they can just milk it. So, I mean, it's going to keep happening. But, like, this game always, like, chapter releases. Look, big chapter comes out, they gain 17,000. The next month, they lose 12. And then they lose another 1,000. And then they gain 2,000. And they gain 100. And then they lose 4,000. Like, this game is, like, literally gaining and losing. Is, like, I feel like always losing players. And I think, and I like, honestly, I think that, and unironically, I think it's the game's fault. I think that this game they're not, I think behavior has become soft. Behavior is they don't have competition, and when they do get competition, it fails. Because at this point, the community is dedicated. They're going to play this game, and it's probably going to be the only game they're ever going to play. I think Dead by Daylight should have died a long time ago, and I think that it is because behavior doesn't put in the work and effort anymore. I think that the killers that they release are unique, and I think that they're cool, but they're unique and cool for like a week. I think that they don't balance the game enough. They never have. I think one of the biggest things that needs to happen, and needs to happen sooner rather than later, is there should not be like 12 pages of perks. There should not be that many pages of perks. In fact, to be even more precise on it, there should not be 8 pages of perks for survivors. 8 pages of perks where half of them, not even half of them, like 78% of them or 80% of these perks you will never use because they have no use and never have. And the 20% that you will use are at risk of getting nerfed every time. And it's the same thing for killer. Like they're no different. I've played my fair share of killer. Remember when the game for killer was about using barbecue and like perks that were fun, but now it is about slowing the game down because they keep adding perks to survivors to fucking do gens faster so the games can last 2 to 3 minutes and the killer can get 1 hook. Right? Remember when that game was about like having fun as killer, but now survivors get so much shit for doing gens fast. Then now you play 4 slowdown perks, you get no blood points, and the game ends. I don't know. I've hit rank 1 as killer several times. I've hit rank 1 as survivor several times. I'm at a point now where I think, as much as I love the game, I think this game should have died. I think this game is a pit. This is a game where I think half the people playing this game are stuck in the fucking sunken cost fallacy. They have put so much time, they've put so much money in this game that they keep playing it. And don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of people who are still gonna keep playing this game and they enjoy it. I'm one of them. I'm gonna get on tomorrow and I'm gonna play Dead by Daylight 2. That doesn't mean I don't believe that the game should have died. I think that Dead by Daylight has become stale, and I think that it's become stagnant. I think behavior has no competition, and so they don't try innovative new things. And if you want me to be really honest, one of the biggest thing that sparked this was the new killer. Dude, what the fuck is the Skull Merchant? What is that? You get a drone. That's crazy, bro. You get a drone that covers an area. That's cool. What else? That's it? Survivors get like an implant if they destroy the drone. I'm just not going to interact with the drone. I don't think you need to. It doesn't go through walls. So like what's the drone going to do to me? Also, like, I'm with you, like, she's literally just Freddy. If anything, I'm going to call it now. I could be wrong. I'm going to call it now. The Skull Merchant will get a Predator skin. She's already got the gauntlet. She will get a Predator skin. It's easier for them to give her a Predator skin than make a whole chapter around the Predator. Because that killer would be hard to balance if they give him, like, stuff to be accurate. I don't know. That's all I really want to talk about. I just want to talk about, like, I think that this game should have died. As much as I love it, I think this game should have died, and it should have been, it should have happened a long time ago. Yeah, guys, that's all. I'm sorry for getting a little heated and a little mixed up in my discussion, but I'm just really passionate about the topic. I've been thinking about it a lot. I play this game a lot, and I don't know. Yeah, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Like, I'm probably live. I'm live pretty much every day except for Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. Every other day I'm live. If I'm not, you can check my Twitter. My Twitter will always let you know. Yeah, guys, you guys have a great day. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the whole thing. And yeah, guys, you guys have a great one. Yeah, everyone.